is why that's why she wasn't born black. Her words,
Oh.
not mine. Not paraphrasing, they are actually her words. Um, so yeah, she clearly doesn't care who she offends either, while she misappropriates people's cultures and faiths and beliefs.
I'm just looking at some of the because I knew a few Sai Baba devotees from back in the day. I didn't realize how many accusations there were against him.
How many what?
Accusations there were against him.
They're not accusations, they're claims that she's made.
No, no, accusations against Sai Baba.
All right.
I
Oh,
knew
has he
some
got
Sai Baba devotees back in the day, you see. I didn't realize
ah
how many.
are these accusations of unwanted attentions by any chance?
Yep, sexual abuse, money laundering, um, yeah,
So it's the same
fraud.
as the gurus
Oh,
that
he's
the
even been
Beatles.
accused of murder.
Yeah. So Sadhguru has as well. He people do seem to believe he murdered his first wife. You can find more details on that. There's also the Beatles, the guys that the Beatles followed in the 60s, also um accused of all the same things. Bikram Yoga, what I can't remember his name, whatever Bikram he was called, he was there was a massive lawsuit against him for sexual misconduct, sexual abuse, etc. Yeah, so it seems to follow a pattern. These people find some kind of deep spirituality, make themselves a guru, and all they're doing is actually molesting their tribe.
Mm.
And they're using pretty marketing words to lure more people in. And Teal Swan definitely fits that definition.
Yeah,
Whilst
yeah,
I
yeah.
don't think she's actually sexually molesting anybody, so I will give her that caveat. But she's definitely exploiting people for her own gain, as opposed to actually giving anything of value.
Yeah, I think like it's whether it's look it's like every where what's the difference between a spiritual guru, a priest, and a grifter? And it's the what I would say it's the line they draw with what they get given. As a kid growing
Mm,
up, I met some really horrible priests and I met some really good priests.
mm,
And some of the priests I met were the living embodiment of the message that Jesus was supposed to give.
yeah,
Um, and some of them were just obnoxious bastards who just loved fucking creating havoc. Um, and but that's the same as those big super churches in America, where like we're doing God's work, and I'm a multimillionaire, and I have a
yeah.
private jet.
God's work is for you to give me your money so I can be rich and tell you how
Yeah,
good I am. Yeah,
yeah. And but I've been around priests as a kid that would literally like if they saw somebody struggling, would be like, don't put any money in the collection. You keep what you've got.
yeah,
You know, the church is fine. I'm okay. Don't worry. You know,
yeah,
and I used to have a priest who used to go and visit the congregation. Do you know what
mm,
I mean? Every couple of months, he'd just knock on the door for a cup of tea and ask how you were and make sure the family was okay. And, you know, and then as a kid growing up, there were priests that wouldn't speak to you during when you walk past them in the street. And
Well, I've got to say, I was fortunate in that sense. I've never met a bad priest. Never. I've heard about
uh,
them, don't get me wrong, because it's hard not to, but I've never met one. So there was the priest that christened me at St. Francis of Assisi Church, very nice bloke. Then when I went to St. Winifred's Primary School, the priest that we had there was absolutely lovely. And he would have done, and I say this meaning quite literally, anything for any of his congregation and the children within that
yeah,
congregation from a point of view of goodness, not from a point of view anything, and you can distort that any way that you want that to mean.
Yeah, no,
It
that's
just
what I'm
means
saying.
that he was a genuinely decent person. And the
I had a
nuns,
priest called Father Beatty, and he was the most genuine, kind-hearted man I probably ever met.
yeah, and the nuns that I had in my
Yeah,
middle school also very, very nice. I had problems in with certain teachers in high school, in my Catholic high school, but they were just teachers. They weren't the priests, the pastors,
yeah,
the nuns, or whatever else. So I never had a problem with people who actually lived the embodiment of the religious status. So when I'm not religious now, I just don't believe in any of it now. But it's not because I've had a bad experience with any person that holds that particular status. I'm not put off it for that reason necessarily, and therefore call myself an atheist. I have massive respect to them all because they were the nicest people to be able to go to and feel safe around in school. So yeah, I don't have a bad experience in that sense.